Good morning, Vietnam. What do you want from me? I give you all my time and my energy, and this is the thanks I get. Thinking of becoming an actor. What do you want from me? This is the thanks I get. How y'all doing, everybody? It's Dave TV. Oh, I don't have any crumbs in my beer, do I? I had a breakfast sandwich from an unnamed. I shall not mention the company that I purchased it from, but it was delicious. It was one of those flatbread sandwiches. Got the shorts back on. Got the camo shorts back on because it's supposed to be a relatively warm week. So we shall see. So what's up today, everybody? It's Monday. It's Monday the 28th of October. A beautiful weekend. Had a gorgeous time. Spent the day at one of those October festivals yesterday and had a wonderful time. I do like making like dog tag collar thingies like this. I like them. The ball chain. I find it's hard to find the ball chain in like area stores. I notice Michael's doesn't carry it anymore, and a lot of the craft stores don't seem to carry it. So I was over at Home Depot the other day, and I just asked them. I said, "You got any ball chain?" And they looked around and couldn't find any. And then some enterprising older gentleman there who worked at the store says, "Aha, I think I know." So we walked back to they have a little section in the back of the store, the lamp repair section, where you can fix lamps. And they have the lamp cord, the ball chain lamp cord. Really nice. It's, cheap, and it's got the little fastener things in it and all that. And so it's like, hey, I found out. So there I go to get my ball chain lamp cord. That's cool. Anyhow, so what's the big news? The big news, Don Geronimo back here on the Washington area radio dial. Is Don going to be able to save WJFK? WJFK is mired in this big battle with Dan Snyder's WTEM ESPN 980, and poor old CBS's WJFK has trouble getting above 17th place. So what about Don, now heard on the station? Apparently, I did listen to Don's shows, Thursday and Friday. I didn't listen Friday night because I was out partying. But I did listen a little bit on Thursday night. I like it. That one of the things I noticed about Don's show was he's enthusiastic. He's awake. A lot of the talkers on JFK these days sound like they're just they honestly sound like they're just tired. All right, ha ha ha. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they don't get enough sleep. Who's that? Oh, Betsy. Why do you keep calling me? Oh, I'll talk to you later, Betsy. But anyhow, Rothstein, Betsy. Weird. Let's see if she's beep. Hello, Dave. I don't know what to write about. I'm bored with all the crap I'm writing about here in Fishbowl, D.C. Can you help me out? The site's getting real anemic looking. Talk to you later. Bye. Beep. Okay. Anyhow, so Don Geronimo's over there at WJFK. And as I said, he sounds enthusiastic, which is half the game right there. I tried listening to him on his Saturday morning show, but, they were probably having some sort of satellite difficulties. He's doing his show from Sacramento. He's not here in Washington. So I don't know. I was just in a weird mood the other day, and I thought, what if they just made not only Don give him his shows on WJFK like that, but what if they just made him head of the cluster? What if they just said, Steve Swenson, hey, it hasn't worked out. WNEW still floundering in the ratings. Bye. Go back up to New York and do something with WCBS and wins, and we'll make Don. How about this? Don Geronimo, head of the Washington radio cluster. What would Don Geronimo do? What would WWDGD, what would Don Geronimo do if they suddenly made him head of the Washington radio cluster for CBS Radio? Okay? Here's what he'd do. He'd take WNEW, blow it away, put in a friggin' cool oldie station on 99.1. Okay? He'd take PGC, and he wouldn't get rid of the urban format, but he would turn it into this kind of hybrid, kind of heritage, great, classic kind of urban-ish soul tunes and really great pop. Big mix of soul tunes and pop, kind of bringing back the PGC heritage of being a top 40 station, but update it to today. So we would play really good soul, rap, pop, but in that heritage PGC kind of style. So we remodel that station into a kind of a heritage contemporary hit station for today. With a good mix of, I was going to say biracial, bisexual, make it really effing cool. So we'd have a cool oldie station and a cool top 40 pop station. He'd take Fresh. I guess Fresh is okay. You probably could leave that alone. I don't know. Elzal. I don't know. I just go through the crazy ideas of what he might do with that. What would we do with JFK? Put JFK on 94.7 and move Elzal onto 106.7. I don't know. Just do something like that. Mix it up a bit. But it'd be interesting to see what Don would do if Don was head of the Washington radio cluster. But I don't think he's quite management type. Although I think he would know what to do because he grew up in the Washington market and he knows the Washington radio market. And I think it might be surprising. He might be a management type. As opposed to, maybe in addition, how about that? The head of the cluster, the head of the Washington radio cluster for CBS also has a show on a station. Now that would be kind of interesting, but I don't know. Other big news of the weekend, interesting stuff. Megahertz, little Megahertz there down in Falls Church. They run that channel 30 here in Washington, and they have their main channel, Worldview, is a whole bunch of stuff from other networks, other foreign networks, a lot of news product, stuff from the Netherlands and Germany and Japan and Korea. And they run, half-hour programming and movies and other shows and stuff on their Worldview channel, which is kind of neat. And then they also have a dozen satellite feeds of, stuff like RT from Russia and the French channel, France 24, and Chinese stuff, and it's a neat little service. Well, anyhow, they've now expanded and now have an affiliate in the New York market. There's a station called WNYJ up there in New York. It used to be WFME TV. Now, WFME was family radio. Remember family radio used to have a bunch of stations. They used to have 107.9 in Annapolis, and they're selling off some of their stations, so they sold that one off, and that became Elzal. Well, they've been selling off some of their stations in New York. The 94.7 in New York just became a country outlet under Cumulus that they just sold off, and I guess they sold off their TV station up there. I'm not sure who owns WNYJ now, but Megahertz has made some kind of a deal, so they'll put the Worldview network on WNYJ. So that gives Megahertz pretty good access, cable access into a good chunk of New York City, which is a huge market, including portions of New York, Connecticut, Long Island, North Jersey, and even parts of eastern Pennsylvania. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. Apparently, Megahertz is now seen in half of the top 20 markets. A lot of public television stations now. I think if you even go to down in Richmond, one of their sub-channels there is the Megahertz Worldview. If you go out to, for example, like LA, I think KCET, one of the public television stations in Los Angeles, runs some of the Worldview programming on some of their sub-channels. So they're getting quite a lot of exposure, and it's an important service there, and it's kind of cool, I think. So congratulations to Megahertz. Radio 1 getting in bed with MGM in a Maryland casino bed. I don't know. They ought to be careful. FCC doesn't... FCC takes they used to, back when the FCC did anything. Back when the FCC actually regulated things and paid attention to people that try to bend the rules. Back in the old days, they didn't take a kind eye to broadcasters and gamblers getting into bed together. So this will be interesting to see what happens with Radio 1 founder Kathy Hughes and her son Alfred Liggins getting into bed with MGM to build a Resorts International casino in the National Harbor there in Prince George's County. Liggins plans to invest $40 million in the project in adding a well-known African-American ownership stake into MGM's casino proposal. Kathy Hughes goes all the way back to the old days of WOL, bought the station with her husband, Dewey Hughes, right? Was that his name? I think so. And anyhow, after a couple years, they started the grand Radio 1 empire of urban contemporary kind of radio stations all across the country. They own KYS, MMJ, WPRS, DRQ, WIN, WWIN, whatever. And it's huge. And they own the TV1 cable network, so they've done a lot. And they must know what they're doing. But I don't know. It just would say, that kind of you kind of look at that and go, I don't know. A lot of times when I'm walking around Reston here, I run into Karen Goldberg Goff. Karen's a really cool chick. I see her all the time sitting there at the Starbucks filing stories for Reston Patch, where she's worked for the last 3+ years. She's no longer there. She's now over at RestonNow.com. Reston Now is a news site that has been started by a guy by the name of Scott Brodbeck. He runs Local News Now, and he's been running a site called ARL Now, Arlington Now, at ARLNow.com, and he also runs a site at BethesdaNow.com with local news, and they're really cool, busy sites, a lot of local comments, a lot of, news. The one problem with the patch sites lately is they're just diluting them with a lot of fluff and sponsored content all mixed in, and it's kind of hard to tell what's sponsored content and bullshit and what's really some news, and then they're diluting the sites by, the Reston site now has news coming in from other different Northern Virginia sites, so it's kind of diluted. So when you go to the Reston Patch site, you find there's still some Reston news there, but it's mixed in with a lot of other clutter and stuff, and it's kind of a mess. So I wonder how much longer Patch is going to continue. Obviously, they're having some financial trouble. So anyhow, Karen's over at RestonNow.com, and looks like it's going to be a more news-oriented site with less of that AOL clutter. So that's cool. So check that out. They launched today, RestonNow.com there, and also check out Scott's other excellent sites. All right, folks, that's Dave TV for today, the 28th of October. Have a good one. Don't forget to help support the site. We just celebrated our 16th anniversary, and we can always use your help. Just click on the support tab there at the top of DCR TV. Book 'em, Dano.